Luxury. Luxury. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Nice to see you all here tonight. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we celebrate the bat mitzvah. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we celebrate the bat mitzvah of Elena Cienfuegos. Mazel tov. She will be helping us with our service tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to attending tomorrow morning. Next Saturday night at 7:30, she'll be back for her confirmation, along with two other young ladies, as we celebrate their passage from religious school. We're looking forward to that as well. As a reminder, it'll be June next week, and before you know it, it will be July and the fireworks booth. So I have been requested to remind you that we always need volunteers to work at the fireworks booth. Leslie happens to be sitting right there if you'd like to grab her and volunteer. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year, so all help is greatly appreciated. Also coming up on June 20th will be our general membership meeting, both in person and via Zoom. We will be voting to elect the new slate of officers, as well as voting on the contract for the new Cantor. So please be sure to attend either in person or via Zoom. As always, I'd like to thank Cantor Ken Jaffe and Rabbi Mark Goldfarb. Ray Irwin is still in France having a wonderful time. Yeah, oui. He'll be back next week. And thank you to David Youngman and Phil Carey, our techies. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom indeed. Thank you very much, Dina, for leading us in those announcements. A hearty mazel tov to the Cienfuegos family who are here in person and viewing us on our YouTube channel. Again, thanks to David Youngman and to Phil Carey. For those of you joining us on our YouTube channel, you might want to set aside some juice or wine when we get to our Kiddush and a little bit of challah or something at the end. Candles as well, you can get those ready. We'll be welcoming Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles and our usual rituals. There are also Shabbat greetings from Jeff and Wilma Shear and Rita and Bob Rubin. I wish to acknowledge that Jeff is a past president of our congregation and a member of our board. And please join us following our services this evening for an oneg, sponsored by David and On Cienfuegos in honor of Elena becoming a bat mitzvah this weekend. It's very busy in the Cienfuegos family this month, here, and then next week, of course, for confirmation. And of course, our flowers, our lovely flowers here in our sanctuary, sponsored by David and On in honor of Elena's bat mitzvah. There are some Shabbat services that are easier than others. We find ourselves riding on the roller coaster of emotions. We gather in the joy and the accomplishments of Elena and coming to a Shabbat, the end of the week. Judaism teaches us that we drink from the cup of joy, we drink from the cup of sorrow on our life's journey, and sometimes we do that at the same time. I think this is one of those Shabbats where we drink from both of those cups. We are grateful to come to the end of the week. We are grateful to celebrate with the Cienfuegos family and all of their accomplishments, and yet our joy is tempered by the violence that has fallen upon our nation. We come to this sanctuary, we come to this place, each of us bringing a variety of our own individual emotions, joy and frustration, anger and grief, sympathy and celebration, all rolled into one. We human beings have a complex mind. We are able to balance the variety of motions that come from such a strange and bizarre week. Our tradition provides us with opportunities to find comfort for ourselves, to express joy and gratitude, yes, and to acknowledge the sorrow that exists in the world around us. At a Jewish wedding, a glass is smashed towards the end of that ceremony. There are many reasons given for why the smashing of this glass, which has become so synonymous with a Jewish wedding. I find the teaching that even in this most intimate moment, when we think it's about the bride and groom, we are nevertheless reminded that we are linked to an even greater world. And that greater world has issues. And so even amidst our joy and our celebration at a wedding, we link ourselves to the greater world of which we are a part of and which we are always called upon to be a part of. And so on this Shabbat, we do something very similar. Though we don't smash a glass, we celebrate with joy and with gusto Elena's accomplishments, and at the same time, our heart aches for this nation, for the people of Texas, for the family who have lost children, families that have lost parents, schools that have lost teachers. We bring them all into our hearts with joy, with gratitude, and with sorrow. We welcome this Shabbat with the singing of Shalom Aleichem, which reminds us to always consider the various visitors and guests and messengers that travel with us. These messengers might be of flesh and blood, they might be of memory, they might be of spirit. You can find this in your prayer books on page 24, Shalom Aleichem, our opportunity to acknowledge the many messengers that have traveled with us.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Yon, Mimi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי היום. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
I invite members of the Cienfuegos family, David, On, and Victoria, to come and join their daughter on the bima as we continue with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. Okay, you go here. Okay.
We thank you, O God, for our family and our friends, and for what we mean and bring to one another. We are grateful for the bonds of loyalty and affection which sustain us, and for all the capacity to love and to care.
Help us to be modest in our demand of one another. Be generous in our living to each other. May we never measure how much love or encouragement we offer. May we never count the times we forgive. Rather, may we always be grateful that we have one another and that we are able to express our love in acts of kindness.
Keep us gentle in our speech. When we offer words of criticism, may they be chosen with care and spoken softly. May we waste no opportunity to speak words of sympathy, of appreciation, of praise. Bless our family and friends with health, happiness, and contentment. Above all, grant us the wisdom to build a joyous and peaceful home in which your spirit is always abide. Amen.
God, help us now to make this new Shabbat. After noise, we seek quiet. After crowds of indifferent strangers, we seek to touch those we love. After concentration on work and responsibility, we seek freedom to meditate, to listen to our inward self. We open our eyes to the hindered beauties and the infinite possibilities in this world you are creating. We break open the gates of the reservoirs of goodness and kindness in ourselves and in others. We reach towards one perfect moment of Shabbat. We continue on page 3. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlikner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot, and inspires us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Wait, what do I do? Okay.
It's all right. Good girl. Okay.
We continue on page 9. We read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we're there before history of creation.
There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others.
Shabbat, remember,
The better world are.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Oh. Our service continues on page 28 with a Barahu. Please rise as you are able to for our call to worship.
La 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 Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Our service continues on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of tide, of time and light. Your guide of the current day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hamnarav aravim. We continue on page 33. We continue responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Then the holiest of your works, and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai Ahev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Okay. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha ve'kol lavecha u'kol asheha u've'ol teodeha ve'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anoki mesaveha hayom alevaveha veshinantam tilaneha vedivartam bam veshivteha veneha vejoteha vaderek uvshokteha uvdoveha Ukshartam leot al yadeha vehayu lehtotafot vein ein reha uktabtam al mezuzot beiteha uvishareha leman tizkerut ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'hitem nevoshim le'Elohehem. Ani Adonai Elohehem. Asher hoseiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim le'yotzehem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohehem. We continue on page 39. We read responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot.
That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Okay.
Bairim Adonai, mi kamocha, nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, o seifele, nora tehilo, o seifele. Yamba bim bim bam, yababa bim bam, yamba bim bim bam, yababa bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yababa bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yababa bim bam. Mahalechutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zeheli anu ve'ameru Adonai Eloh le'olam va'ed. Yamba bim bim bam, yamba bim bam, yamba bim bim bam, yamba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yamba bim bam. Ay 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 ay, yamba bim bam.
Thus, as it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Our service continues on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be sheltered from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with a hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai ha-porez shinkat shalom aleinu ve'al kol Romo Israel ve'al Yerushalayim. Okay, oh wait.
Yam yismechu v'malechutecha, yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Amekadesh Shemi, Shabbat, Amekadesh Shemi, Shabbat, Kulam yisme'u ve'itanegu, mituvecha Shabbat, Yisme'u ve'malechutecha, Yisme'u ve'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashmi ratzita bo Shabbat, ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamim ota karata, zechel maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei oneg Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat, v'korei Legoneg Shabbat.
In a moment, we will continue with the words of our tefillah, prayers that connect us to our ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, who lived over 4,000 years ago. This evening begins the ceremony wherein Elena joins herself in that over 4,000-year-old link of tradition. Prayers that challenge us to envision how God might work in the world around us or how God might work through us, and prayers that call us to deeds of holiness. We often think of holiness as that which is relegated to the sanctuary, to the temple. However, Leviticus chapter 19, the holiness code of our Torah, teaches us that being holy is how you treat other people. Being holy is having honest scales and honest measures. Being holy is not putting a stumbling block before the blind or insulting the deaf. Holiness exists outside of the walls of this sanctuary. It is how we choose to live our lives as a way of bringing us into this moment, this special part of our worship service. I will invite us to rise as we are able as we continue with the words of our tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Elohei Leah El Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Ve'Hayeh Hakol Ve'Zacher Hasei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Gula Linei B'neihem Leman Shemo Ve'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Azrat Sarah
Page 50.
Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Ve'Hayeh Hakol Atah Av Le'Oshia Moraid Hatal Mehayel Hayim Behetzet Mehayeh Hakol Ve'Rahavim Ravim Somel Novelim Ve'Elohei Holim Umatir Asurim Mumyesayeh Et Unato Leshenei Afar Mikamo Hava Gevurot Umidos Hak Melech Memit Hayeh Umasmi Askevua Veneman Atalev Hayom Atol Baruch Atah Adonai Hayeh Hakol
Page 52.
Atah Kados Veshimka Kados Hautoshim Dehoyom V'Haleluka Selek Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKados. We continue on the top of page 53. Day days pass and the years vanish. We walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illuminates the darkness from which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, "How filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it." Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. Our service continues on the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Makadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love and doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the minds, we look inwards for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, and that all of Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai Shim'otcha levadka ve'yir'ah na'vot. We continue on the top of page 59. Let us read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonders beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our lights within, for around the world us, so filled with beauty, with riches of earth, which day by day sustains us. And all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai Hato Shim'o Uka Ga'el Lehodot. We continue on the middle of page 61. Nation shall not take up sword against nation. They shall never again know war. Don't stop after beating the swords in the plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first.
Shalom Rama Yisrael ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Nope, the hard part's over with for you, Elena, at least for tonight. We include in our prayers for peace, for shalom, all those who have felt their sense of shalom, their peace and well-being disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they are facing. Challenges to their health, their bodies, their minds, their sense of well-being. The words to our Misha Berach, our prayers for hope and healing, can be found in your prayer books on page 253. And I will invite you during the musical interlude between the paragraphs to share aloud the name of a loved one, a friend, a family member, who is in need of such prayers of hope and for healing. For all who are struggling to regain a sense of shalom, for all who are wrestling with challenges to their health, to their bodies, and to their minds, all who are recovering from acts of violence. May they be blessed on their journey, a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, a return to the wholeness they seek, the shalom that they desire. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Elena, you led us through a wonderful worship service. You did an excellent, excellent job. This is a great forerunner of what we will have in store tomorrow, no doubt. But there comes a special spot in our worship service where we stop even from on the page. We instead have a chance to listen to the words of our hearts, the melodies of our souls. And so we take a moment of silent meditation, an opportunity for us to reflect on the words that we have shared, the melodies that we have heard, so that we might instead hear the words and the melodies from deep within ourselves. We pause for a moment of silent meditation or such other prayers the heart may prompt.
Words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. O Lord, my rock and strength and my Redeemer. O Lord, my rock and strength and my Redeemer. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord.
Truly, Elena, excellent job leading us in worship services. I just want to share with you how far she has come in her practicing and her mastering of the Hebrew. When we first started, Elena would want to read the service just like this and try to get all the words out at the same time, so they all ran together. And I am very proud of you, Elena. You have done an excellent job of leading us in a worship service, of controlling your speed, of letting us hear every word. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am looking forward to tomorrow morning, and I hope that you will be even more relaxed given the evening. Yep, good. Sometimes there are just no words. Sometimes there's only pain. I am embarrassed to be an American. There have been over 220 mass shootings in this country since January 1st of 22. We keep experiencing this, and our leadership and our government does nothing, and we expect a change. I don't understand it. I don't understand how elected leaders can sit by and let children get murdered in schools. I cannot. I cannot understand why a country as sophisticated as we are continues to lead the world in gun violence. We average 760 deaths by gun every single week. Every single week. Many of them are teens, many of them are people of color. And just this past week, many of them were children. I cannot understand a country that spends so much time and energy and effort to outlaw abortion and to protect the life of the unborn, and yet who do nothing to protect the life of those who are born. I can actually understand, although I disagree, with those who feel that abortion should no longer take place. I can understand their outrage at abortion, but I cannot understand their silence in the face of these mass shootings. If these same people spent half of the energy that they had and that they have expended on trying to eliminate abortion, on trying to reform gun control, it surely would have happened. I am embarrassed by our senators and our House of Representatives, and every year I take our confirmands to Washington, D.C., unless it gets canceled, to do exactly that, to speak to them. And the sad, really sad point is that for the last 25 years that I have been doing this, gun control is a constant topic. School bullying and violence in school is a constant topic. Every year for the last 25 years, that has been one of the opportunities for the students to speak on. We have a crisis in this country. And it's not due to video games, and it's not due to not having prayer in school. It's due to our complacency. It's due to our fear to try to change something. The NRA boasts a membership of, I think, 2.5 to 3 million. In a country of how many million? We're 330 million. And interesting to note, at the next NRA convention, guns are outlawed. You cannot bring your gun to the NRA conference this year. Even the NRA is beginning to recognize there are issues. I don't know how many more deaths it's going to take. I had hoped that Columbine would have been the last. I had hoped that Sandy Hook would have been the last. There are no words. My heart breaks for these parents. My heart breaks for our nation that values gun ownership over lives, that values bullets over safe schools. We're going to take a few moments of silence because there are no words. We're going to take a few moments of silence just to acknowledge the fact that we live in an incredibly violent country where the lives of our children, our teens, and people walking down the street and people attending outdoor concerts are easily snuffed out by a bullet. May this silence move us to speak to our leaders. May this silence spread, and so that hopefully one day there will be a time when we will not have to read about a school shooting or a grocery store shooting or a church shooting or a synagogue shooting or an outdoor concert shooting or a party shooting. This is a very, very strange nation we live in, and a very strange culture that has not found a way to address this. And so we pause.
כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, גשר צר מאוד. והעיקר לא לפחד, לא לפחד כלל. והעיקר לא לפחד כלל. The entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very, very narrow bridge. The entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. But the thing to recall is to have no fear at all. But the thing to recall, have no fear at all.
Thank you, Cantor. The world is indeed a narrow bridge. Let us fight fear with courage. Let us fight apathy with action. And let us speak to our leaders about how we feel about what's taking place in this country of ours. And let us hold them accountable for the lives that have been lost through their inability to act, through their inability to do the right thing. We move to the conclusion of our service with the words of our Aleinu. The adoration can be found on page 282 in your prayer books, and I invite us to rise as we are able. Forgot it. Elena, come. Okay, let's try it this way.
Is it the Elena or Elena? I'm just confused. I'm sorry. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live in on our hearts and our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. We call to mind one for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30 days since his death, Gerald Kramer, the son of Lily Kramer. To his name, we link the names of those whose yard-sites have occurred during this past week: Cam Craig, Victoria Torres, Amelia Winkeller, Bernice Roth, Harold Sugarman, Bernard Lawrence Levoot, Harold Rotner, Samuel Levoot, Shirley Amador, Leah Ashman, Esther Milstein, Evelyn Wolf, Richard Wiley Loomis, Rabbi Chaim Asa, Josepha Kanapta Markovich, Joseph Schreier, Beatrice Galper, Jeanette Hanan, Aaron Dove Krotinger, Josepha Elizabeth Rosenstein, and Charles Kravitz. To their names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Mark Bornstein, Leah Levine, Vicky Emery, Sheldon Zinberg, Evelyn Levin, Gloria Austin, Dee Dee Ginter, Dorothy Bernard, Molly Shartoff, Erica Cherie Barnes, Kaylee Goldstein, Craig Wilford, Fred Fink, Joyce Ulibari, Ralph Goldstein, Marvin Asnes, Joel Jaffe, Norma Lippi, Claire Phillips, David Kaplan, Elaine Lieberman, Laura Cutler, Marty Hershkowitz, and Dottie Roth. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud and those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms. Those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters and other first responders, the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. We recall as well the over 1 million Americans who have died from COVID-19, and sadly, just this past week, the 782 victims of gun violence in this nation, including those killed at the school in Texas. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing and inspire us to action as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. V'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu. Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen.
We may be seated. As Elena comes and leads us, one last thing. As Elena comes and leads us in the words of our Kiddush, wine and juice is a symbol of joy and happiness. We, again, drink from both cups during our journeys, and today especially we want to recall and celebrate the accomplishments of Elena. One moment, I got to find the right slide here. Where are we? For our viewing audience, it's got to be... There you go. That's for you.
Yay!
Cantor and I
know
as
how to hold
well
this.
have. That's okay. We'll tell you what, I'll hold it for you. That way you can, and then we'll be able to share it together. Okay? So with the words of our Kiddush, we toast the joy of this Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava uvratzon inhilanu zeyaron lemase vereshit mihol yom tehila v'maykoy kodesh zeher siyat Misraim kivanu v'harta ve'hodanu v'dashta mikol ha'amim v'shavat kodshecha v'ratzon hinhaltenu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. L'chaim. It's okay. I invite us to rise as we are able for our concluding song. If you are comfortable with holding the hand of someone next to you, please do so. If you are comfortable putting your arm around the person next to you, feel free to do so. We're going to conclude with Adon Olam?
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam.
This is one of my two melodies that we've heard since I've been here. Once you get the first verse, the rest will come. Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem Kol
יציר נברא, לעת נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להשירו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אף קירו לי, בעת ישן ועירה, ואם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא.
One last thing,
Bread.
our motzi, okay?
Right.
Yep, we're going to do it together with the Cantor's help as well. When we conclude, we will adjourn to our social hall. You will find juice, wine already poured. Please help yourself, and we will join in celebration with the Cienfuegos family, the beginning of a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Bon appetit. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Well done, Elena.
Bread.